All right, there we go. So today is it's approaching the end of the bulk that I've been on for, the whole year. So back a day, basic plan, variety of pull downs, rows, pull ups for me. I've never really been a huge fan. Like it's fine, but if I do them earlier in the workout, I just feel like I'd get a better contraction using a machine or doing a normal style of row. And if I do them in the end of the workout, I'm just so fatigued I can't even get solid reps. I'd be more prone to use the assisted pull-up machine. I am a big fan of that, especially towards the end of a lift, just because it's it's kind of a pretty cool in between, right? It's kind of giving you that. Honestly, it's just like sort of combining a pull down and a pull up, right, into one. I feel like I can get a really good squeeze, really good stretch, right? That's the name of the game in fucking all muscle building movements, right? But of course, I've already slammed a scoop of hostility. So apart from that, there's nothing else to say. So probably another 5 minutes to the gym, and then once I actually finish my warm up, right, the pre should be fully kicked in. I can start a heavy working set. Oh, this fucking asshole is pulling out in front of me. Whatever. Let's get started. All right, so I was planning on starting off on the hammer strength row, but there's 4 dudes in circulation on it. What are you gonna do? So instead of starting off with that, right, I'm not just gonna sit here and wait for 20 minutes for it to open up. I'm here to fucking lift. So instead, I'll come over here onto this double cable and do more of a, I was gonna do single arm rows anyway. One kind of problem is once you get big enough, the whole stack, it's just not gonna be enough weight. So I'm having a fucking aneurysm. I threw an extra plate onto each stack. So I'll just go back and forth with single arm rows, maybe even 4 sets. We'll have to see. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. Okay. Oh. Yeah, 2 more sets of this will be good. This pretty much fits my criteria of starting off with a pretty heavy movement for back. Like, I wouldn't want to start off with, pullovers for my back day, right? That's a good warm up. Like when I was warming up, I was doing some pullovers. But, in terms of actual working sets, once you've been, warmed up, loosened up, comfortable that you're not going to hurt yourself going heavy, I like starting off with at least moderate amount of weight. But, once I've done 8 hard sets, then I'll do some more lighter shit where I'm really just going for a squeeze and burn. But with these movements too, right, by sort of positioning myself so my torso is getting pushed up against the other upright, I don't have to work my lower back at all, right? Because think about this, if you were doing like a seated row on a cable machine or like a bent over row, right, not only are you pulling the weight up with like your lats and your traps and whatever else, you're also fucking working your lower back just by, counterbalancing the weight. Whereas with chest supported rows, you can focus more so on your lats, upper back. That's what I feel is going to make your back a lot more impressive. Another reason why I don't care for deadlifts. All right. Oh, fuck. Okay. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to move on to next. So give me a little bit to think about it. So I'm sure you've heard of people talking about let's say in a 2-day split. Oh no, what am I talking about? Like a week-long split, right? Everybody hits every muscle twice a week-ish. I'll hear people talk about having a lat focus day and then a row focus day, like lats versus upper back, which there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I don't really plan it out like that. I'll just kind of go by feel, but I'd say usually I do an even mix of rowing movements and pull down / pullovers. But I've been doing, I think the last back day I did, it was a lot of lats, a lot of pull downs. So that makes me want to do a bit more rows today to kind of balance out. But, for the most part, I like to finish off back with a complete back pump. So I'm never going to do just rows, and I'm never going to do just pull downs. But sometimes I'll do a little bit of a mix, sometimes biasing rows or sometimes biasing pull downs. But this row machine, full stack, it's pretty heavy, so let's throw it around for a few. Another thing with chest supported rows, just in terms of their execution, I'm trying not to swing too much with my torso. When I do a seated cable row, I don't mind having a bit of swing, but on machines, I usually try to chill out, be a little more strict. So one thing you'll notice, if you've seen any of my other back workouts, is I don't do shrugs. For me, doing any sort of rowing where the movement path is a little bit upward, all right, like I lean back a little bit on these rows, I feel like I get enough trap development. But you gotta look at your own fucking build. If your traps are lacking, then sure, fucking spam 3 sets of heavy shrugs at the end of back day. But I think for the majority of your back, traps included, doing heavy rows should work them. Okay. One more, and then I think that for the last 3 movements, I'll do some lat focus stuff. Okay. So contrary to those cable rows, these were more so of a, you know, high weight, high tension set, right? Like, this was more so, in my mind, like benching, heavy weight, but doing really quick reps. Whereas the sets I was doing earlier on the cable stack, that was more slow and controlled. Now, for me personally, I think an even mix of both of those styles of sets is going to give you some good results. Like, for biceps, I like curling really heavy to the point where the last few reps of the set, I'm fucking like swinging it up. But, later in the lift, I also like doing lighter weight, really controlled, squeezing at the top. I wouldn't want to do my whole workout of just one style or the other. That's kind of how I've been going about it for the last few years. I'm slightly limited in terms of the movements that I have access to at this particular gym because they don't have a fucking normal ass lat pull down or like a normal cable row. Which, I mean, those are some movements that I do like, a pretty good amount. Like, it's pretty much a staple of anybody's back day. But, just because you don't have the exact machines you want doesn't mean you can't get a good lift. So instead of doing normal pull downs, I'll replace it with these single arm cable pull downs. I mean, it's a different feeling, but honestly, I think I can get a better squeeze with doing the one arm at a time. So I think 2 sets here, and then I'll finish with something else. I'm not sure what, but my main plan with these is fucking squeeze really hard to the bottom. Make sure I go hard. That's pretty much it. Oh man. Whew. Okay. I think I'm going to finish with 1 set of assisted pull-ups. Oh. Fuck. So, I don't have a ton of weight assisting me. The machine says 25 pounds. It's just a little bit. Because for me, maybe this is just a me thing. Maybe my back is weak. But I just can't do pull-ups and seriously get a crazy contraction and squeeze at the top, right? Like, just having a little bit of assistance, it really lets me get to the top of the rep and feel my shoulder blades retracting. Honestly, I think doing assisted pull-ups early on, that's pretty much one of the movements that really helped me get a mind-muscle connection with my lats, right? Like, I remember I was at the home gym. I've got like a rack, dumbbells, and a bench. I remember this was maybe a year in, maybe a little less than that. I'm benching, and just for whatever reason, I could feel my pecs firing, right? That's how you should feel on all movements. In a bodybuilding context, right? You're pretty much working one muscle at a time, and you want to fucking feel that muscle firing like crazy, right? If you're doing back, pull downs, rows, whatever, and you're feeling a lot of bicep, a lot of forearm, for one thing, you should probably use straps. For the most part, I think people that have that complaint aren't using straps. But, once you can go from pulling with your hands, right, to focus on kind of just retracting your shoulder blades in a rowing movement, guaranteed a game changer for your pump, right? And then, if you're getting crazier pumps, right, you're gonna get crazier gains. All right. And with that, back is complete. Oh, it took me 45 minutes. Whew. A crucial final step to any good lift is the fucking pose down, right? The pump check. Right? You want to gauge your progress. Also, it's fun to see yourself in a state where at least one of your muscles is bigger than normal, right? Who doesn't want to see that? So, and then, it's also a pretty good gauge of how good your workout was, right? Like, if one day, my pump's just not there for whatever reason, that's going to be pretty much a good indicator to me. Like maybe, I've got to look back at what I did the whole day and, the night before. But, if the pump's not there and I didn't get a lot of sleep, that could be a fucking explanation. Maybe I didn't drink enough water and electrolytes. Maybe I just didn't eat enough food, right? Or maybe like the training wasn't that intense. Now, usually that's never the case, but I've definitely been known to fucking slack on sleep sometimes, which total asshole move, right? Pretty much the big three things for fucking getting big is eating, sleeping, and training. So to neglect any of those, it's just a foolish move. So let's see how the back is looking. One thing I kind of referenced it earlier, no fucking deadlifts, right? There's no deadlifts, no rack pulls. I don't know. In my mind, shit like that, it's just, I don't know. I'm just not a fan, right? I'd rather spend the amount of energy that I would spend on like 3 sets of heavy deadlifts. And fucking deadlifts are almost like as hard as squats, right? If I were to sit here with, I don't even know how much weight, I don't even want to estimate, but 3 sets fucking crazy, I'm gonna be fucking gassed. Whereas, I'd rather spend that energy on cable rows, pull downs, right? Assisted pull-ups. I think it's just gonna be a lot better for your back development, right? Because I don't need to be working my glutes and my hamstrings and my lower back. Obviously you want some lower back development so you can have that little Christmas tree. But, you don't look, at least for me, I don't look at someone's back and think, holy fuck, that guy's erectors are huge. No, man. I'm thinking, holy shit, look how wide those fucking lats are. Or look how thick those traps are. Shit like that, right? That's where I feel you're going to get the most, the more of a, what am I trying to think of? More of a distinguished look, right? And the way you're going to build all this shit up here is with pull downs, rows, shrugs for your traps if your traps are underdeveloped, right? I just don't see the point in wasting energy in that way. But whatever, I haven't even posed down yet. Let's go through the big 2 for back. Lat spread and double by. Woo! Same thing, just in fucking reverse. Oh. Even just fucking flexing with even just posing with a pump, it's fucking tiring. Whew. So, why didn't I do back and biceps? I'm just not a huge fan, right? For me personally, every time I do back and bis, typically I do back first. By the time I move on to curls, I'm just like fatigued. The pump isn't there, right? I'm kind of low energy because back is a pretty fucking big muscle. And, right, I want a dedicated arm day. I'm trying to work my fucking tris and my bis on the same day, right? It just kind of feels weird to do it the other way around. But, that's just personal preference, right? If you love back and bis, or if you love, whatever other sort of combination of training body parts that's in your particular split, and you're hitting everything twice a week, do what works for you, right? Huh. But, man, what the fuck was I just saying? Oh yeah. So it's, when I tell you advice or whatever, right? try to digest it yourself, right? Don't just listen to what I'm saying and think, oh, this guy's big. He knows what he's talking about, right? It's going to be so much more so into your best interest to be able to take in information from, typically it's big guys who are telling you different things about training or whatever. Because, I mean, shit, if they're big, that means whatever they're doing has been working for them. But, you got to be able to take everything with a grain of salt. And if you can actually understand what you're doing, right, then you're just going to have a lot easier, you're going to have a much easier time applying things to your own personal situation, right? For me, that back day, I didn't choose those specific exercises because I thought, okay, these are the best movements for everyone to get a big back and to get a big pump, right? It was more so like, huh, I know that I'm going to like these rows. I know I'm going to like these pull downs. I know that I'm going to like those assisted dips or, what am I talking about? Assisted pull ups, right? You got to be able to, well, if you're a beginner, it takes a little bit of time to get that knowledge. But once you have enough shit in your inventory, right, you'll be able to sort of be a little bit more intuitive with your training for any specific muscle. So let's get in the car, slam the cluster dextrin shake, and we can get out of here. Whew. All right, so back complete. I didn't show the warm up. For me, back day warm up is pretty simple. For when I do chest, I'm sitting on the cable machine for like 10 minutes. I'm doing some single arm push downs, making sure my elbow's nice and warm. And, before I do any kind of heavy pressing, right, it's mainly chest, but I'm getting some tricep activation in there too. So I want it to be warm. I got some rear delts, some rotator cuff. But for back, I mean, I just sat on the cables, did some rowing movements, a little bit of pull down, some pullovers. And that's all I needed. You're not really, at least, in my experience, I've never gone into back and thought, oh crap, my shoulders are stiff. Oh, I got to spend a little bit more time warming up, right? Usually that's for like chest. Chest and shoulders, usually I like a bit more of a warm up. Those are typically a little bit harder on the joints. So let's slam this cluster dextrin shake. So basically the mix is 50 grams of the unflavored cluster dextrin, and then 2 scoops of the, I forget what I think it's, I forget the name. Whichever one in the ISO chocolate protein. Now, the protein's not the important part, right? Post-workout, I just burned through a bunch of carbs, so I got to replenish them. You know what I'm saying? So right here should do the trick. I'm not really into sipping it over the workout. Over the drive home. I just want to slam it and be done. So, in terms of the anabolic window, right? I'm sure we've all heard of that. You'll be all right to go home and not eat your post-workout meal for like an hour. But I've made this analogy before. If you run out of gas, do you want to just leave your car on empty? No, you gotta fucking refuel that shit, right? Just just by the nature of training, right? I'm stressing out my body. My fucking my lats are getting full of what's that? Lactic acid, stuff like that. I need them to fucking get some more carbs in, some energy, so they can recover. But yeah. So it did end up being a bit more of a row focused back day. But, like I was saying earlier, an even mix is probably your best bet. And if some days you're feeling more rows, and if some days you're feeling more pull downs or pullovers, then fucking do what feels good. So let's think. What else is there to discuss? I'm gonna get back into hitting calves. I've been skipping calves for I think it's been like 3 weeks. I'm not saying my calves are underdeveloped, but you know, I feel like it's been long enough that I've been skipping them. I gotta get some stimulus under those little drumsticks. So my go-to method for calves is, you know, moderate weight, but you know, it's not really programmed into the split per se, right? For me, with calves, you know, I'm pretty much under the impression that if they're not sore, that means that they're, you know, ready to be worked, right? So for the most part, when I'm actually training them, I'll hit them like fucking every day. You know, 8 sets at the end of the workout. I like doing single leg, either, you know, on like the an actual calf machine where you get the weight in front of you and it's like going up and down like that, or one of the standing ones. I like doing them on the leg press too. Like, you know, you just put your foot on the bottom of the platform, maybe 3 plates ish, one leg at a time. But you know, it's not like the sets are even that intense. But you know, 20 reps ish, pretty good burning sensation. At the end of it, pumped. Then I can fucking go home. You know, if your calves are slacking, which you know, I don't think that. I think for most lifters, calves are typically known as a stubborn muscle, right? And you only train them once, maybe twice in a blue moon, but you still kind of complain about them. Fucking try fucking hitting them every day, man. You know, I'll see videos of a fucking, not so much recently, I guess, but I've seen videos where it's like some guy showing off his calves. Calves are fucking huge, right? They're ginormous, and the caption's like, "Oh, what's the rest of my physique look like?" And then it's just like a, you know, a heavy set guy, right? Because his calves are just getting worked every fucking day when he's walking. You know, your calves are used to daily stimulation, so by that logic, I think they're used to some used to getting hit daily as well, or at least they can be. You know, I'm sure if you haven't hit calves for a while, and then you pump the fuck out of them, you'll probably feel it the next day. But I guess main point I'm trying to say for calves, if they're not sore, just throw a couple sets in at the end of your workout. And I'm certain that if you do that consistently, you know, at least for at least 2 months ish, you should notice a little bit of something. And if you don't, then try something else. You know, don't just give up, right? You wouldn't if you've got small biceps, right? Let's say for whatever reason biceps are just your weak point. Would you not want to work them harder? Right? If your biceps are fucking, you know, not where you want them to be, what sense would it make to think, I got bad biceps. Fuck it. I'll just I'll just only do triceps, right? No. So why would that logic apply to calves? It's a little bit of a mystery in the mentality of the general lifter. So, plan now. Go home, eat some food. Uh, my pre-workout meal consisted of it was about 200 grams of carbs. I think 40 grams of fat and about 35 grams of protein. Right, high carbs, easily digested. Well, let's say simple carbs. And you know, that was about 2 hours before I took the pre and came to the gym. Now, was it chicken and rice? Was it steak and potatoes? Not exactly. It was a big ass bowl of cinnamon toast crunch. You know, in my mind, calories are calories, dude. You know, in a bulking context, especially, right? Now, let's say you're eating, you know, what would be considered by the general public a lot of just kind of like junk food, like, you know, sugars and, you know, fucking like kids cereal, right? If you're putting on a lot of excess body fat, well then you know, your calorie surplus is too high. You should probably chill out. But you know, if you're one of those guys who isn't putting on weight as much as they'd like to, or you know, they're constantly lean, you know, the kind of guy who would say, "Oh, but I eat so much, I just can't gain any weight." The only problem that you have is you're not eating enough food. You know, that is the only thing that's keeping you from gaining weight. Well, I guess if you're like an ultra marathon runner and you're burning thousands of calories a day exercising, then maybe that'll get in the way of your muscle gaining progress. But if you're here watching this video, that is not you. I can guarantee it. So, if you're trying to gain weight, eat some more fucking food, man. If you're trying to lose weight, eat less. Eat less. Obviously, this isn't really like, detailed dieting advice, but, in a general sense, if you know what you're doing in terms of counting your calories and whatnot, then you know that those are the two factors that are going to determine whether or not the scale goes up or down. So, like I was trying to say a second ago, you're going to go eat something, then eat something else, then eat something else, take my vitamins, creatine, and fish oil, then go to bed before cardio in the morning. So, what day was this? Was this 189? I think so. We're going to see 200 in terms of the bulk, I guarantee it. But until then, I'm going to keep scarfing down some meals. So, I'll fucking see you for the next lift or whatever else I do. You know what I'm saying?